Hey babies, and welcome to the very first episode of the messiest sketch on the internet. It's your very favorite, very messy Gitch, Mr. BMG, and I'm here to deliver your weekly dose of the hottest stories making the rounds on the internet. And I hope that you enjoy and you really love and come to really appreciate my content and make it home and make it your own and engage with it as much as you would engage with it. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. What I guess stood out for me this week was obviously the whole Elon Musk buying X and selling it to himself. So he sold it to his company XAI, and I feel like it's not even a story because I feel like it's not really, hasn't changed ownership in substance. It may have changed ownership on paper, but not really in substance. So it's not really a story for me. It's not really a story. And I feel like X, Twitter, has really just deteriorated. It's just really become an extension of this dude's ego in many ways, because I obviously muted posts from him, and at some point I think I blocked the dude because I just did not want, the muting wasn't working, but I still see posts of this person very frequently, and I'm just like, how does this happen? So clearly he overrides anything you actually want to do. However you want to personalize a platform, he'll override it as long as you see his face everywhere. That's really, I feel like, what he wants, and that's just how much ego this person has, which just irritates my life. Like, it really just irritates me so much because it's become, the application has literally become an extension of his ego, and because of that, even the stories that you see, the content that you see has an angle to it that when you think about it, when you really, really think about it, a lot of it is just stuff that he would probably be pro, you know? And for me, it just becomes like, the platform just becomes not as much of an open, free, safe space to just discourse and talk the shit you want to talk, you know, because there's now inherently a narrative. The person who's running it has his own narrative and agenda, and he's sort of using that platform, you know, to push that agenda, which is why I guess a lot of people have decided to move away from the platform and seek alternative platforms to engage and, you know, connect with people. And I really support those people who have done that and who found success on other platforms, because I feel like, yeah, it's just an ego now. That's what X has become, a ginormous ego. And yeah, that's that on that, you know. The rebrand was a flop. It should never have even been called X. It should just stayed Twitter. But I mean, clearly, I don't think he's made the best decisions for the platform, because now, you know, the competitors have come up, you know, Threads, Blue Sky, that were probably never even a thought to begin with, because Twitter was so successful and everyone loved it. But these competitors have come up because people are starting to feel uncomfortable on the platform, and rightfully so. So I hope that at some point the competitor that sticks comes up and people just migrate, and then it just becomes one of those apps that are kind of has-been, you know, like Snapchat or whatever, like these platforms where people just don't really care about them anymore. They were once a thing, but now they're not a thing because they just did not keep up with the times. So yeah, moving on. So Keri Hilson is releasing a new album called We Need to Talk, and bitch, we do need to talk. Like, we need to talk, because it's been 15 years, and rightfully I feel like she did name it the correct thing, because that's what everyone wants to sort of engage her on. Like, where have you been, right? What have you been doing? Are you in love? Do you have kids? What are you up to? And why have you not released music for so long, when the time that you left, you were on top of everything? Like, Keri Hilson was that girl, late 2010s, not late 2010s, but late 2000s, early 2010s. She really was that girl. She was releasing so many hit songs, and she was really mainstream at the time. But then she just kind of fizzled, you know, and she essentially attempted acting, and that also didn't really work out, because she was never in any project that stuck, like a big budget type of, you know, platform that really cemented her transition into acting. So I feel like because of that, people never really took her seriously as an actress. And I'm not sure what else she's been doing, but yes, we do need to talk, girl. And the other question too that we need to talk is, do people actually still care? So do we really need to talk? Do people actually still care about what Keri Hilson is doing in this day and age, you know? maybe out of curiosity, people will listen to the album to just sort of gauge where she's at, to see if they can still relate to her, to see if she's evolved, because I don't think people are also expecting her necessarily to be the same girl that she was, or to pick up where she left off, because many years have passed. She's a different person. If she did do that, it's not authentic. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she does with that body of work, and if people ultimately really care. Another story I found interesting was the whole Will Smith releasing album. Literally, when I saw that, I was like, this is so random. So random, because I'm like, nobody is expecting you to be releasing a new album, new music. Nobody was expecting anything from Will Smith other than maybe a new movie, but not like an album. Like, sweetheart, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no pent-up demand. Nobody's thirsty about, what else can he do in terms of, musically. Nobody cares about that. So I guess he's just doing it for the clout, like, hey, I've got the platform, I can do it, I've got the money to do it, so why not do it, whatever the case may be. So I'm not expecting like magic out of it, and if there is like a hit, it'll be, I guess, gimmicky, catchy, but nothing of substance, man. Nothing deep and, to do with like him becoming a serious music star. It's just, he's bored, he needs something to do. So that's how I feel. I think the difference with him and Keri Hilson is also just the fact that, at least with Keri Hilson, people are kind of curious about, where is she now? She was such a, dominating sort of star back when she was doing it, honey. Late 2000s, early 2010s. She was really big then. So people are kind of, wondering, how is she? Where is she at? With Will Smith, nobody cares. Like, absolutely no one cares. So I wonder how that album's going to do. But knowing that he is supported by the industry, they may purported to be that he will, the album will do well. I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. Next story. Oh yeah, the story about what's his name? The story about Sean Kingston and, the whole, him facing time. I found that so, him facing time for like wire fraud. The whole story about Sean Kingston and him facing time for wire fraud. Very unfortunate story. I haven't necessarily dug into all of, the issues or the charges that he's facing, but it's also unfortunate for his career, because once upon a time he was such a great musician, had a very bright sort of future, and then all of this scandal is what has become of his legacy, which is quite unfortunate. And maybe in another reality, he could have really capitalized off of Beautiful Girls, Take You There, all of these other catchy little songs that he had in the moment that he was really popping. He could have grown and had some longevity, but now that's unfortunately not the case. So, shame, man. That is really, it's not a good look for him. And yeah, moving on. What else can I say about that? Moving on. The other interesting story this week was, I don't think of what else engaging. Oh, Garcelle from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is leaving the Beverly Hills Housewives, which I found also, I didn't really care about it because I haven't really watched the Beverly Hills Housewives since the first few seasons, which I think were the best seasons, and also the time when Lisa Rinna was on it. Really loved the show. But yeah, like Garcelle was, for me, like apparently she was really great on the show, but for me, I just didn't really care about the franchise anymore. I felt like they had a boring anchor. Kyle is such a boring person. I just don't even know why she's still on the show, and she's been so favored for like all of this time. Her sister, the only sister that I liked from the Richards people was the blonde one, not Kathy, the other one. You know who I'm talking about. I think she was great television. I hope she's doing well wherever she is, but that girl was, a lot was going on, and I hope that she's in a better place. But yeah, very boring franchise, but like the Lisa Rinna, Vanderpump, Camille, Brandy days, peak entertainment. Moving on to the next story. Everyone's kind of talking about how the Real Housewives of Atlanta reboot is kind of not doing as well as maybe the channel wants it to be portrayed as, So one of the executive producers, Miss Andrew Cohen, one of the executive producers, Miss Andrew, posted a little screenshot about the ratings, and apparently the ratings are like 2.5 million, darling. Like, most of that is streamed, delayed streaming views, and only 600,000 were live views. And I believe that because I feel like people aren't really watching TV, right? So the 2.5 million number could be a factual number. Is it an indication of the show doing well? Not necessarily. But is it an indication of maybe the show doing well in the times that we live in? It could be, because not a lot of people watch TV anymore. So I don't think people are expecting television records to be broken because we're not in the television age anymore. We're kind of in the streaming age, right? So if anything, most of the viewers should come from the streaming platforms, because I can't even tell you when last I watched TV, for what reason. You can find out everything you want to find out on a streaming platform or online somewhere. Somebody's talking about it, dissecting it, So yeah, I guess there is validity in considering all of those streaming numbers, because those are the platforms that people are using nowadays. And part of me also wants the show to do well, because I think it's such a legacy show. It's an important cultural landmark of Atlanta, but also just of that whole Real Housewives franchise. They weren't the first franchise, but they were really the franchise that got everyone talking about that show. Like, they really became a household name with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, because Atlanta, the girls in Atlanta really brought it. Season 1 to about 7 was probably peak Atlanta. Those were the best seasons, and everything after that also kind of changed. And I also partly feel like why the reboot was necessary. Personally, I would not do a show more than 5 seasons, no matter how good it is. After 5 seasons, either if you're going to continue, people really want you to continue doing that show, rather get a completely new cast and maybe have 1 or 2 people from the old cast to continue at most, or just cancel the whole show. Only because I feel like stars become complacent. People who you started with in season 1 aren't the same people in season 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, because they've made it, right? So the approach to filming, the approach to creating content on the platform is not as thirsty as it was back when the show was new and they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And normally when people have nothing to lose and everything to gain, that is when they make the best content ever, because you're on the come up. So I would completely cut every single show after 5 seasons, because that's when complacency starts. So the reboot was necessary. I want the reboot to succeed. Do I agree with all the casting in the reboot? Not necessarily. I think we could have done without Brit. Eady. She's not likable. I've been watching the show and she's just not landing. Like, the discourse on the internet is that she's not likable. She's a plastic bitch, and it just is what it is, girl. Like, you're not landing with the audience. And I think it's because there's something about her that's not authentic. Not beyond just the plastic surgery and all of the work she's had done, but there's something about her that's just not, the audience can't connect with. And when the audience can't connect with you, you shouldn't even be on the platform. So she shouldn't be on the platform. Shamia is doing a really good job as the new anchor of the show. I think it's always beautiful to see her, it's beautiful to see her getting her flowers. It's beautiful to see her getting her flowers. It's beautiful to see Shamia getting her flowers, because I feel like she deserves to get her flowers. She's worked to get her flowers, and people didn't really see her for who she was when she was a friend on the show, because I guess it wasn't about her at the time, but now it's really about her, and people can see why she's actually such a good addition to the show as a main cast member. And I guess that's kind of exception to the rule, because a lot of the times when you promote these friends of the shows to being main cast members, they'll give you disappointment, like Marlo. And yeah, she's an exception, but I think it's because when she was a friend to the show, she was not even really a friend to the show. She was just somebody you would see on the screen, but she didn't give much, But the reality of the show, the reality of who Shamia is, when I sort of engaged with her in person, I loved her as a person. I think she was just a really great character, really great energy. And how I saw that she was a good talent was when she was hosting the NBA holiday game in Atlanta. I think it was the Hawks playing against some other team. And she was doing so well, life of the party, voice of Atlanta, just really just energetic. And I realized in that moment that they had not been portraying this woman the way she deserved to be portrayed. And I think she's finally getting vindicated in that process and, being the star that she deserves to be. I do think Kenya deserves a bigger role on the show, and not being, the whole minimizing of her character is so disappointing as well. So I really hope that she's at the reunion. I hope that, I know that she'll get vindicated, because what she's done, people on the show previously have done 10 times worse. And if anything, that's why people are talking about the season. So she's really given people something to talk about in the season in any case. And the fact that her role is minimized, she is part of the, she's part of the people who laid the bricks, for this particular franchise, for this show to stand to this day. She's part of the people who built, the foundation. So I think she deserves the platform, and she deserves to have an opinion and have a voice on the platform and be respected on the platform by both the network and the production team. And I think the production team actually just needs to change, to be honest, because I think they're ruining the show. Anyway, babies, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of The Messiest Bitch on the Internet, and I hope to see you liking, commenting, and subscribing onto, on this video and all the content on my channel. And I hope to see you again on the next one.